Hello friends, how are you this evening? Just getting everything set up here. If you are joining us live, please make sure you say hello, say hi. We so appreciate when you like and heart and share what you're seeing. My name is Tracy Allen and I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And tonight I am bringing you the Whiskey Business stamp set. Super, super fun. All right, I think we're all set up here. Okay, so you can see we've got our stamp set and our card. We're actually going to make 2 cards this evening. Hi Carol, nice to see you. All right, so I have to admit, when I saw the new catalog, I was super excited about having a kind of different way of doing more manly card, right? Sometimes I think we don't have enough masculine. We have lots of beautiful feminine, lots of flower, lots of floral, lots of fun sayings, lots of birthday, but we don't always have as much masculine. So this was a really fun one, and of course, thankfully the catalog just came out in time for Father's Day, which is why I'm showing this one to you today. So the stamps that we're going to use is Whiskey Business, and you can see it has a whiskey, I was going to look this up, it's a decanter, pretty sure. It's got the glasses with the ice in them. It even has a little shaved here. You can make that like into an orange rind and stick that on the side of your glass. And then you've got this plank here as well. And so that's really nice if you're stamping your background image and want to stamp maybe the wood that it sits on, or maybe the bar area. It also just makes a really good background stamp, right? I can think of a million other cards I can use the wood plank on. It's great for backgrounds. Now, the sentiments are what I find so great too, because they definitely go with the picture. So, straight up, you're the best. Being a dad is whiskey business. Your top shelf, cheers to you, and sending you an old-fashioned birthday card. So, you've got a lot of variety here. You have a birthday. We've got, I'm going to make this one for my husband for Father's Day. So, being a dad is whiskey business. Cheers to you. So this could be two glasses, and they could be cheering. They don't even have to be whiskey, right? It could be something fun you have in your glasses, anything. You can color that to be whatever you want. You can make it green, you can make it yellow, you can, so really that can be kind of anything, which is fun to be able to do. You've got the cheers to you, the sending you an old-fashioned birthday, so lots of good sentiments that come with this too, which gives it lots of variety. Now I will admit, I looked around on Pinterest and other websites, and I haven't seen a lot from this stamp set yet. So I'm hoping people maybe just haven't had their hands on it and haven't had a chance to play with it yet to put some ideas out. So hopefully I'll give you a couple ideas tonight for what you can do with it. So we're gonna start with our first card here, which is our Father's Day card. So in order to start this card, we're going to start with our card base in Early Espresso. So let me grab that out real quick. And while I'm grabbing that, let me tell you a little bit about the paper underneath here. So this is our designer series paper called In Good Taste. Now the cool thing about In Good Taste is it comes with a ton. I think you get 12 different patterns, but really you get 24 different patterns because it's double-sided. So let me just show you some of these awesome patterns here. So you've got your wood, and we're actually going to use another one of these today for the wood. You've got kind of your textile carpet look. Some more of that dark wood. I love the wood grain because you've got multiple options. So lots of variety there. I love that gray background. I can think of all kinds of cards I can use that on, make that really neutral, and then you can just put a color on it and make it pop. You've got kind of this tile look. I love that, kind of the unfinished side. Oh, with the blues in there, super pretty. You've got some more of the wood grain, some more of the textile, and then when you flip it over, you have a lot of the tile. So you've got these tile images that are just so pretty. And again, they're great on, I think, scrapbook pages too. They're great for backgrounds. They're just kind of a nice general neutral colored background that you can use on almost anything. I love the brick. That's fun. Oh, I can't wait to play with this blue tile. That's going to be pretty. I can think of a few really pretty cards to use that on. Those beautiful pinks. Again, the brick and that tile. Love this card pack. It comes with the 12 different designs, two-sided, so 24 designs, and then you get 2 of each of those pages. So you're getting 24 pages as well, which is one of our larger paper packs that usually doesn't come quite so much. So really cool. So we're using this one today, which is this darker wood grain, and on the back you can see I love the back too. So it was hard to pick, but I thought the wood would go well with the whiskey theme. So we're going to start with an 8.5 by 5.5 piece of cardstock. And we're just going to fold that right in half. My bone folder ran away. No, it didn't. Here it is. All right. All right, and set that aside. We're going to cut a piece of that designer series paper down. So that's going to be 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And we're going to stack that on there later. So I'm going to set that aside just to make sure I don't accidentally do anything, you know. I try and put all the pieces together first and then assemble it at the end. That way I don't mess anything up, because that happens. So we're going to take a white piece of Whisper White cardstock, and we're going to cut this to 4.5 by 3 1/4. So 4.5 here, 3 1/4 here. And this is going to be the base of our card. And we're going to go ahead and start with the decanter. And we're just going to be stamping today in Memento Black ink. So Memento Black ink is awesome because it allows you to color on top of it with our blend. So this is a dye ink, and you want to use a dye-based ink when you're doing your blends. And this is a fade resistant dye, which makes it awesome for using with alcohol markers. So we're going to start with that, and we're going to be using our blends today to color these in. So because of the stamp pad that it is, it's kind of a thicker stamp pad. It's not like our other, our colored stamp pads are nice and juicy and very, they're foam, so they're very squishy. This is more of a, I can't think of the name right now, but anyway, I think it's linen. I don't know. It's harder. So I always take the pad to the stamp just to make sure it has lots of ink. It has plenty. Probably overdid that. And I'm just going to take this and stamp it. I want to leave a little room to the left, but not too much, because we're going to kind of do some overlapping here. And then I'm just going to stamp that down. The great things about these stamps is you can see they've got this beautiful shadow already built in to the stamp. So it gives it dimension already. Just by stamping that in black and white, we've already got some dimension on there. The other thing we're going to need is we're going to need some cups, the glasses. So we're going to take the glass and we're going to stamp that as well. And we're just going to use a piece of, I'm just going to grab a piece of white cardstock that I've been kind of playing with. So just a scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock. And again, I'll ink that up. And over on the side here, I'm just going to go ahead and stamp my glass. And you're going to need 2 glasses for this project. I wanted to save a little time, so I already finished one. All right, and then we're going to need to bring in our colors. So the colors we're using today, we're going to use a variety here. We're going to use our Pool Party. This is the Pool Party Light. This is the lightest color of kind of a greenish blue that we have. And we're going to use that for kind of the glass to give that reflective look. For the whiskey, or whatever this drink is, we're going to go ahead and use the light So Saffron. So that's kind of one of our lightest yellows that we have. And then we're going to use the light Mango Medley and the dark Mango Medley. So I pulled both of those out to kind of give it some contrast. And you're going to see when we color, it's going to add a lot of light by giving it that contrast here. So we're going to start, and I start with the blue. So I'm going to start with the glass. And all I'm going to do when I'm coloring in the glass is I'm just going to follow those shade lines. So the nice thing is this stamp set pretty much kind of set it up for you already. And I'm just following the shade lines around. And I'm going to do it real lightly. I'm not going to do a ton. And it looks darker than it is, and you probably can't tell too much right now because it's a pretty light color. I'll lift it up here in just a sec to show you. Shade some over here. Like I said, I'm just following the shade lines right now. And you can't mess it up. That's the nice thing about blends. You really can't. However you color it, it's going to look great. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to put some color on it. Don't be afraid to use them. I know people are a little shy from using markers because they're so used to using their stamps and their stamp set. I promise you, these are a lot of fun. And I'm a huge fan of the blends. So I've added some blues there. Hopefully you can see that. And as it dries, it'll actually lighten up a little bit. So you'll start to see it light. If there's something I didn't super love or I wanted a little more light, I also got out my color lifter. Color lifter is a good term for it, but I heard someone else use the term color mover the other day. And I thought, oh, that's a good term. Because really what you're doing is you're kind of moving the color back. So all I'm going to do here is just kind of move some of this color and just lighten it up a little because I wanted that particular spot to have a little lighter. And so as it dries, you'll start to see it'll lighten up that area. Now we're going to go ahead and do the liquid. So you can do this any way you want. There is no right, there is no wrong way to color. You color the way that works for you. For me, I start with dark. So I start with dark and then I work my way to the lightest. And I try and kind of look, again, Stampin' Up makes it easy because you already have the shading here. So I try and kind of think about where it would be lightest if I was looking at it. Usually the edges are always darker when you look at something, so I try and keep my dark around the edges, and then I build in and make the center more light. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to start with the dark Mango Medley, and I'm just going to color kind of around the edges here. And again, I'm following the shade lines, so I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm just following the lines that are kind of already built in here. I'm kind of darkening it up around. Making it a little darker on the corners because again, that's where usually if you're looking at something that's where the light hits something, usually it's darker around the edges. So I'm just going to make it a little bit darker around the edges. And you can always pull this in and lighten it up too. So remember, you've got that color lifter. You can always lighten it. You can blend it in with your other colors, which is what we're going to do here in just a minute. We're going to take and blend that in. Now there are 2 tips on these markers, which I love. So you have a brush tip, which is the one I'm using right now. And I think it's fun because it reminds me of a paintbrush. And I can get a lot of area very quickly and just brush, brush, brush. The other one is kind of a nib. And these are great for getting into small little areas. You can, if you're looking at very intricate patterns, you can color into tiny little places with that. All right, now I'm going to take the Mango Medley Light and I'm going to come over it and I'm just going to pull and blend into that dark. So whatever I just did that was dark, I'm just going to kind of go around the outside here, pulling in that color for whatever was kind of the darkest part. And it'll start to blend. And that's the thing about alcohol markers. They do a great job of blending together. Now there's lots of alcohol marker brands. There's some really big popular ones, like your Copics or your Spectrum Noirs, and those are awesome. I have a set. I've used them for a long time. The problem I have and why I love blends so much, and I've pretty much gotten rid of all my other coloring tools, is because in order to get the shaded effect that I like to have when I'm doing this, one, you have to have a minimum of 3 colors. So you have to have a minimum of 3 markers to make it happen with like a Copic or a Spectrum Noir. Just because of the way the coloring is and the blending is. With Stampin' Up, you can have just the 2 and you're going to get a really beautiful shaded color. Alright, so I'm just coming back in here and shading this. I'm going to shade this here so you can kind of see the glass is a little bit discolored. There we go. With blends, you really only need the 2 colors, which is awesome. I like only having to buy 2, right? The other thing is it matches everything else, right? I can guarantee if I pull out the Mango Medley Dark and Light, I can pull out the Mango Medley ink pad, I can pull out the Mango Medley paper, I can pull out the Mango Medley matching embellishments, and I know that everything's going to coordinate. I'm not guessing, I'm not trying to figure it all out. It's already ready to go. So for me, that's huge. I need things to match. I need them to match and I need it to be easy. So that's why I always go to Stampin' Up. It's just easy. It makes everything easier to do. And then they take all the guesswork out of it for you, which is nice. I like all the guesswork out of it. Alright, I'm just coming in here with that Pool Party again, and I stamped the glass. So I've got that glass stamped. I'm just gonna, didn't need to do Pool Party there. That's okay. I'm just gonna come in with the glass. And now I'm gonna come in with the colors again. So starting with the dark, take that darkest one and pull that color here. And again, I'm just following the shade lines that are already here, remembering that usually the outside of the glass is probably where it's going to be the darkest, and then we'll move to kind of the lighter on the inside. And this is the light. And again, there's some fine detail here, so it's okay to use your little nib brush end to get that fine detail. And then I'm going to use the lighter one to color it in. It's relaxing. Does anyone else color? Any of you guys color with any of these? Hi Joan, nice to see you tonight. Carol, Joan, I see you both on here. Do you guys color at all? Do you like to use blends? Sometimes it can be really relaxing. Alright, I'm going to do the ice cubes here. And for the ice cubes, I'm just going to use that little nib again because I'm going to get in that fine detail. I'm going to go around the outside of the ice cube. Give it a little dimension. And this ice cube up here. And then I'm going to take our lightest one and just color that in. So our ice cubes look nice and light. I'm actually going to go over this with the color lifter too, so we're going to even make it a little lighter. And then we're going to pull in some of that color. As you can see where they're sitting in the water. Oh! I'm going to fix this one too. tried to stamp it earlier so it would have a, this is the longest part, right? Just stamping. Oh, Joan, you gotta try out some blends. Come over and borrow them anytime. They are awesome. I love them. Look at that. So now that this is dry, you can really see the shading. You can see the light. It gives it a lot of dimension, right? You've got a lot of dimension there. I just love it. So, all right, next we're gonna fussy cut out these. It's fussy because it's fussy. I'm not a big fan of cutting. I don't cut out much. I really love my die cut machine and my punches. This stamp set does not have die cuts that go with it. Boo. That's one of my recommendations. But the nice thing is these glasses are super easy to cut. So that's it. And that's what I need, something easy. So I'm just gonna cut both sides. They're nice and straight, nothing to it. You're gonna cut around the edge, and you're just gonna kind of go around. So a pretty easy cut. And then I'm gonna do the same thing on the top, just kind of follow the edge of the glass. And that's it. You can cut out these glasses, super simple. There's not a lot of angles there to have to deal with because I don't do so well with those. So, all right, so I got my pieces. So the last piece we need is we need our sentiment on here. So we're gonna take that Memento ink again, and we're gonna do the "Being a Dad is Whiskey Business." Kind of a nice Father's Day sentiment, I think. This would be good for a father-in-law, obviously, if they drink whiskey. Probably not if they don't. Maybe a grandpa. It's always a good one for that. So I'm gonna just put that there. All right. And I'm stamping first on my scrap cardstock, and I'm stamping there and then punching just to make sure I get it even. So I want it to be even when I punch it. So in order to make that happen, I need to make sure I've just got that on there. If you punched it first and then tried to stamp, you can, but it can be a little bit more of a challenge to get that evenly spaced. So, all right, I'll go ahead and pop that out. And I'm gonna grab some early espresso. And I'm going to show you a trick with our punches. So, I'm going to take some early espresso. I'm going to punch out that same storybook punch I just used. So this is our storybook punch. And I'm going to do some layering. So a neat way that you can layer your storybook punch, you can do a couple of things. You can layer them right on top, and you can see where you can get kind of the shadow effect. You can do that on either side. I'm actually going to cut this in half. Best I can there. I'm going to take some of my seal adhesive, and I'm just going to put some adhesive on the back here. And now I'm going to take and piece these together. So I'm going to put just this piece all the way on here. And just leave a little hint of it showing out of the top. And you want to kind of just look at your sides here because you want to tuck those in. And make it even. There we go. And now I've just got a little hint of that on the outside, and then do the same for the bottom. So I'm going to take and adhere that to the bottom. And there you go. So now I've created a background for it. Now, is it going to be very perfect? Is it going to be absolutely perfect every time? No. But if you want to round these edges, you can just trim them. And then you won't even be able to see them if that's bothering you. For me, it's not a big deal, because it gives it such a good look when it's on the paper. So, There we go. All right, so we're going to use that, and now we've got our kind of highlighted there, which I love. So easy way to use your punches. All of our punches for our sentiments can do this, right? It's so easy. You just cut it in half and put it up there. It gives it a nice effect. So now that we've got all our pieces, we can start putting it together. So we're going to start with our designer series paper. All right, and then we're going to get just a little bit in the center here. The seal adhesive is super sticky. It is pretty good stuff. It's not going anywhere. Once you get it down, it's down. And I'm having an easier time. I think I just needed to practice with my seal, and now I'm liking it. So, testament to the more you use something, the more you will like it. So I'm liking my seal now. It's working for me. At first I wasn't sure. I was having some issues. But I think I figured it out. I just didn't add enough pressure. So it does take a little bit of pressure to get it out, but once you get it rolling, it works great. And it's super sticky. Just be warned, it's super sticky, and so if you make a mistake and you're trying to pick this back up again, it's a little harder to do than it was with snail adhesive. Snail adhesive is a little easier to pick back up again. Alright, so we're going to put that in the center. Now for these guys, we're going to use Stampin' Dimensionals. So, love me some dimensionals. Just make some pop. Oh, before I do that, did this when I was making my last card. So we've got one more color that we're going to use. I almost missed it. So we're going to use the light gray granite. And we're going to use this to give it kind of a base here. So it looks like the decanter and the glasses aren't just floating out in space. They'll actually look like they're on something. So in order to do that, we're just going to take this gray and we're just going to pull it out. Nothing fancy. The nice thing is it'll blend really nicely when it's all finished. So I like to do this on a lot of my stamp sets. Anything that has an image where it's on something, or it's, you know, maybe it's a beach, or maybe it's a vase of flowers on a table. I like to make sure I've put in there some sort of way they can actually sit on it. Alright. And again, as this dries, you'll start to see the blend happening. So right now you may see some streaking. As it dries, you're going to start to see that blend into the paper. Alright, let's take our glasses and we're going to take that Stampin' Dimensional. I'm going to layer this one right on top. And then I'm kind of going to let this one free flow here. Just kind of be out here. There we go. And then we're going to use dimensionals again, because I love them, on our sentiment. And we'll go ahead and pop those right up here. There you go. That is it. That is our Father's Day card. What do you think? I know, it's super easy, right? It didn't take a ton of time to do the coloring, but it gives it such an amazing effect. You have these awesome, awesome, beautiful shading and coloring here. So cool. And any dad would be super happy to get this for Father's Day. All right, let's set those ones aside. And we're going to do another card, same paper. So we're going to use that awesome set of paper here with all those beautiful textiles on it. So that in good taste. So let me give you a little commercial break and tell you about our paper share that we have coming up. So right now we are offering a paper share. you get a quarter of every single pack of new designer paper from our designer series paper. So that's 10 different packs. And in those 10 packs, you're going to get essentially 2 of everything from that pack, or a quarter of the pack, depending on what's inside the pack of paper. And it's going to be cut down to 6 by 6. The nice thing is, when I do that, I keep all of them separate for you, and I package them separately, and then I actually label them all. So they'll all have a label with the name on it and the coordinating colors. So whatever coordinating colors go with that paper pack, I'm going to make sure that's on the label for you so that you can see that, so you can easily just grab the paper and have that right handy with you. So in total, for $40, you're going to get 132 6 by 6 sheets of paper. That is a ton of paper. So you're going to get our beautiful Forever Greenery, our Artistry in Bloom, our Playful Pets. If you haven't seen Playful Pets yet, I'll definitely make sure I put those pictures up for you. Super, super, super cute. So that's going to be our paper share, and it's $40 for 132 sheets of designer series paper. Now, you know what an amazing deal that is, because if you tried to buy them all, it would be over $160 with shipping and tax and all that. If you tried to buy all the paper that we have, it would cost a lot of money. So this is nice because now you get to do the paper share. You get a little bit of everything, including the papers we're using today, and then you're all set to make all your beautiful cards, right? It's a lot of fun. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this paper up. Oh, it's so pretty. I hate cutting pretty paper. But again, this is from that same set. Oh, and the bricks on the back. So good. So we're going to cut that to, got all my dimensions up here. We're going to cut that to 4 by 5 1/4. So it's just going to be the backdrop for our paper here. So 4 inches. And I super love my paper trimmer. I'm sure I've told you a million times. This would be the one tool I would take with me everywhere. It has a scoring blade and a cutting blade on it. It can extend, the arm extends out, so you can get this to way past 12 inches. It actually goes to 17 inches, just in case you've got some crazy long paper. You never know if you're doing like boxes or some sort of fun craft project. It's good to have all of that. I just love it because I use this thing all the time. So we're going to cut our designer series paper down. That's 4 by 5 1/4. And then we're going to take a piece of white cardstock and we're going to cut that down to 4 1/2 by 3 1/4. So we'll do 4 1/2 by 3 1/4. So the same dimensions that we used on the previous card. Thought I'd make it easy. There we go. And you'll want that extra white paper because we're going to stamp on that too. Oh, maybe not. Let's see. All right, so our card base is going to be a little different. So we're going to flip our card base. So it'll be 4 1/4 by 11. So essentially it's half of an 8 1/2 by 11 cardstock page. We're just going to cut it the long way instead of the shorter way here. And that way our card will stand up really nice. We're going to make sure that's all perfect. And I cut the wood grain. When you're cutting with this particular paper, one of the things to keep in mind is the wood grain. So make sure that you're cutting it however you want it. There have been too many times where I've cut the paper and I want it to go horizontal and I cut it vertical or vice versa. So maybe you want your stripes going a certain way, maybe you want your wood grain going a certain way. Just make sure you kind of think about that as you're cutting it so that you aren't wasting a piece of paper. And really, it's not wasting because I could always use it on another project, right? Alright, so we're going to take our smaller piece, and this is the one we're going to use to color on today. So I'm going to use that decanter again. And just gonna stamp that up. Now, this could contain any type of liquid, right? You could make it clear, it could be vodka, I guess. You could add a little light color, make it a tequila. You could add a really, really dark color and make it bourbon. However you want to do it. It's kind of yours to play with. So we're going to stamp it in the center toward the top, leaving some room for our sentiment at the bottom. And then we're going to go ahead and color on it just like we did before. So very similar process for shading. We're going to start with the blue. And it's that light pool party. And we're just going to follow the shade lines. So again, Stampin' Up! Makes this super easy. You're just following the lines that are already on here. So not a lot of guesswork, which I like because I'm not always good at the guesswork. Here. I'm going to take the lines in here, just pull them. If you feel like it's too dark, you can use your color lifter and go back over it with that color lifter and it'll lighten it up. So if you ever get the feeling like you were just a little too heavy-handed, you can always go back and use that color lifter. Definitely recommend purchasing that if you're using your blends. It also helps if you make a little mistake somewhere, you can go back and kind of fix it a little bit. Alright, so we've got that down. We're going to go ahead and use our colors here again. We're going to start with the darkest and work our way down to the lightest. Now that paper share was $40 and that gets you all that gorgeous paper. So definitely let me know if that's something you're interested in. I've been using a ton of our new designer series paper. I just started playing with the Playful Pets. It's all red and black and white. I mean, the cutest colors. And when you think of using it with animals, it's like perfect. Super, super stinking cute. So it's been a fun one to play with. Around the edge here. All right. And remember, when you're doing your coloring, on the edges is really where you want the darkest colors. Typically, that's where the shadows are going to fall. It's on that edge. And if it's not perfect, it's okay. Who knows, right? Just you. Can't ever be wrong. Oh, they just blend so nicely together. There's no streaking. You just get such good color with these blends. Huge fan. And that's all I'm doing here is just coloring them in. I'm always going over the darker color because I'm pulling it in and blending it in. So that's one of the tricks too, is make sure you're going back over that darker color because you're pulling it in and blending it together. So you definitely want to do that. And then when you go over your lighter color, you can just go right over the top. You don't even have to worry about getting it in the lines or being super precise because you're going to blend all those colors in. And then if you don't love it, if you need it a little darker, the nice thing about the blends is the more you go over them, the darker it's going to get. So it's going to keep adding color every time you go over it. Alright, so I'm happy with that. Got a lot of color in there. Alright, now I'm going to use my sentiment, and I'm going to choose the Sending You an Old-Fashioned Birthday card. So now we have got a birthday card and a Father's Day card ready to go. Always want to keep those in your stash. Definitely those birthday cards. You can never have too many birthday cards or thank you cards. Those are the two things I make the most. Make sure you've got a lot of ink on your ink pad. This is a really neat stamp. That Old Fashioned, you would just want to make sure you've got enough ink to cover that, right? So keep your ink pad all nice and inked up. Alright, we're going to put this in the center here. Just press down There we go. Our old-fashioned birthday card. Now we're going to go ahead and layer that on. So I'm going to take my card base. I'm going to take my designer paper here, and I'm going to take my seal adhesive. Make sure I get the edges real good. That's where it's going to stick down. Alrighty. Just a little in the middle here. And I'm going to center that right on the card front. Make sure I like where that's going. There we go. With the white cardstock with your sentiment on it, I'm just going to add some dimensionals. Now you will notice on the back you see the bleed through. So these alcohol markers will bleed through. They will bleed through most of our paper. There's not a lot of paper they won't bleed through. So you don't want to adhere it and then color, right? Always color first, or if you know you're going to be able to see the back, one trick that you can do is you can either add another piece of paper to it, or if it's like layered, put a scratch paper in between and then pull it out when you're done so that you can't see between it. So I could have had this on here. I would just put a piece of scratch paper in between, color it, pull that out, and then it'll still be on the back here, but it's not going to bleed through. It's not going to get on the rest. So it's a good tip when you're doing your envelopes too. So if you want to stamp, I would probably stamp the little glass and fill the glass up to go with this card. Like that would be perfect on an envelope, right? You just want to stick that paper in the middle of your envelope, then color, pull it out, and that way it won't bleed through the envelope. All right, so let's put this on the front here with some dimensionals, because you gotta pop it up, right? $4, you get like 400 something dimensionals. Might as well use them all. They're awesome. Okay, and that is it. Once we stick this down, we have a nice birthday card for our stash. Now when someone needs a birthday card. Love it. Alright, so these are our 2 cards we created today. And we used our blends to help us make these awesome, awesome cards. If you love these cards, or you love these blends and you want to get yourself some, or this super awesome stamp set, Whiskey Business, you can go directly to our shop link on our Facebook page. And then you can go ahead and add the host code. So the host code is Z79S9PGH. That's going to get you a free Stampin' Write marker with any $50 purchase. So that's awesome. Hi, Christina. I'm so glad to see you. Yeah, these are so fun. So what an awesome card for Father's Day or for a birthday. I can think of a few gentlemen who will be getting these from me for sure. So let me know if you have any questions. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. I am going to be back live on Friday. So my usual nights are Wednesday at 7 and Friday at 4. Always popping on to say hello. So on Friday, I've got our new whale set for you. So it's super cute, all under the sea. Can't wait to show you. So have a really good evening. Thanks all for watching, and I will see you on Friday. If you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to just shoot me a PM or an email. Blessings to everyone. Stay safe. Be careful out there. I'll be thinking about you all. Bye.